Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as the next few days could continue to look fairly dry and fairly warm, temperatures widely towards the 20 to 23 degree mark through this weekend, and even to start of next week staying around a similar sort of level. However, as we head towards maybe Tuesday, Wednesday next week, we are going to see some lower pressure return. Actually coming from the southeast, got a bit of a trough sat over Europe at the moment and through this weekend. Going to give a lot of rain through parts of France, and it will eventually head our way into the early to middle part of next week. And we could see some heavy rain. We can start to see the sort of first signs of that on the latest UKV. So likely to turn a little bit more horrible and unsettled towards the middle part of next week. But for the time being, it's actually pretty decent. As we head to the longer term, we are seeing slightly more mobile conditions, and we can see that with more fluctuating air masses, but still it is generally hovering around average or slightly above average, with areas of low pressure around, but never dominating. So we will still see plenty of drier conditions, but unlikely to be sort of long stretches of bone dry conditions. We're likely still to see showers in places. From the looks of the latest longer range runs, especially further north and westwards, we could see the jet stream and low pressure breakthrough at times. But we'll have a look at that in detail in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, do like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see a few showers around this evening, really quite isolated showers. So we did see a little bit of convection today as expected, but it was very isolated. Where we have seen these showers, though, they have been pretty heavy and thundery, as we have seen some warmer conditions. So there's quite a lot of energy around, but there's very little trigger with high pressure around, and that's why they have been very isolated. You see the trough I'm talking about here across parts of northern France, into Luxembourg and Belgium, even into Germany here. The trough is going to kind of sit over this region over the next few days before eventually heading our way, dumping a lot of rain through northern Europe. Now, if you look at the temperatures this evening, you still see across much of England and Wales, temperatures still in the high teens, so still pretty warm this evening, even into Scotland. Again, we're not looking at ridiculous temperatures because the actual air mass isn't that warm, but we are into the middle of May now, heading towards summertime, heading towards June, of course. So we are, of course, with dry conditions and sunshine, always going to see warm conditions this time of year. Pretty much May through to September. You have dry conditions, you have sunshine, it is going to be warm. And that's exactly what we're seeing now, even though we're not seeing anything ridiculous in terms of synoptics. Now, if you go over to the latest UKV, you can see at the moment a few showers around through the rest of this evening, but slowly degrading away, and we could see a bit of persistent rain from that trough in the far south and southeast through the morning, and maybe a few thunderstorms getting initiated by that across southwest England and South Wales. As I said, it's really a trigger that we lack at the moment, and you can see with that trough engaging the warm air, that's where we could see a few thunderstorms in the west and southwest. Again, could come to nothing, but could be pretty severe in a few areas. Those showers will eventually degrade away through the evening, and as we head into Sunday afternoon, look at that, another very dry and sunny day, and it of course will be warm. Again, a few showers and thunderstorms triggering maybe towards the south of Scotland, the odd one across England and Wales, and maybe some more across the southern parts of the Republic of Ireland, but generally a decent day. As we head into Monday, another pretty nice day, again a few thunderstorms around, but generally pretty nice. And as we head into Tuesday, starting to see a few more showers and thunderstorms breaking out as we start to see low pressure move in. And as we head into Wednesday, heavy rain starting to move in from eastern areas, because this is the trough that is starting to move in, and it could, as I said, give some very heavy rain as we start to see low pressure pushing in off northern Europe. You can see it centered just to our east. Could be pretty horrible indeed at times next week. Still 5 days away, and these small systems can get moved around with very small, subtle changes. So I wouldn't bank on it being exactly like this at this stage, but this, of course, is the most likely scenario. We'll have to keep a very close eye on it. If it's further northwards, eastwards by a few hundred miles, then we could see nothing. Further westwards and southwards by a few hundred miles, then the whole of England and Wales could get absolutely smashed by this system in the middle of the week. So we'll have to just keep a very close eye on it. And of course, I'll keep you updated. Look at the max temperatures earlier today, again towards the 20 to 23 degree mark. Likely see similar conditions through tomorrow. Again, top temperatures actually further northwards here, where we have less cloud, 22, 23 across many parts of North England into Scotland. As we head into Sunday, it looks like a very sunny day, and again, look at that widely 20 to 23, shaping up to be actually a really nice weekend. A few days ago, I wouldn't have said this weekend was going to be very nice, but this is the power of the sun and high pressure this time of year. You can get very pleasant days, no heat wave, but pleasant days can spring up very quickly, and we're seeing a decent little consecutive spell here. As we head into Monday, still could see temperatures getting up towards that 20-degree mark, but where we have some more showers and a bit of cloud, hold those temperatures in the high teens. Into Tuesday, still looking at 20 to 22 degrees, but not quite as widespread as we start to see showers and thunderstorms develop. And into Wednesday, you can see it's very much confined to sunnier areas in the south and the west. Further north and eastwards, definitely much cooler with that rain moving in, as that is likely to become more widespread into the middle of next week. Now do have a look at the latest GFS just to see what is in store over the course of the next few weeks. Again, you can see we've got low pressure to our south at the moment, but high pressure is building in, and that is why we are seeing drier conditions, sunnier conditions and warmer conditions. But into early next week, you see the trough sat over Europe. It is going to form into a more distinct area of low pressure, spiralling up our east coast. Could give heavy rain at times, but should move through by Saturday. Could see another low moving in, and eventually high pressure does make a return. But as I said, into that longer range, we're seeing a bit more oscillation in the air masses and the pressure patterns. You see here a brief low moves in, and then an area of high pressure builds back in. So very much up and down in this period. We'll have to wait and see exactly how it does play out. But for the time being, looking pretty decent for now. Briefly turning a bit more miserable into the middle of next week before improving beyond that. If you have a look at the latest GM, see how that, see what that has in store. Again, low pressure to our south, high pressure building in. Low pressure again trying to move in by the middle of next week as it forms out to our northeast. But then eventually, by next weekend, high pressure firmly builds back in, and we actually see some very pleasant, and actually it does go warm, if not very warm, with a southerly wind starting to get drawn in. Again, we're not looking at a heat wave, but the upper air temperatures are getting towards that 4 to 6 degrees above average. And if we do have a look at the 2-meter temperatures, look at that, getting up towards maybe even the high 20s in the east. So definitely looking pretty decent there indeed. We'll have to keep a close eye on that, as that will all be dependent on the positioning of that high and how tight those isobars are with that wind coming up from the south. If we now have a look at the latest ECMWF just to finish off, again you can see low pressure to our south, high pressure building in, but then again see that low return by the middle of next week, eventually clearing. Not seeing the high pressure to our northeast here from the east, and we have a stronger Atlantic low, so not the same as the GM, but eventually at day 10 you can see high pressure is building in. And if we look at the air masses, not particularly warm, actually probably only around average or maybe below average here, but it will be transitionary, and as we'll see in the ensembles now, it is going to be a little bit up and down because of the risk of these transitions. Now if you look at those ensembles, you see generally above average over the course of the next week by a good few degrees, and then we see a drop into the middle of next week, and that is likely where we see that low pressure eventually sweep through and potentially a bit of a northwesterly wind on the backside. And then beyond that, temperatures return back towards average or above average. We are seeing a lot more oscillations. You can see generally precipitation is fairly low and looks fairly showery, apart from the middle of next week where we can see some more organised rain spikes as we are seeing low pressure or a more organised area of low pressure moving in. Other than that, still showers will be around, but it is likely to be more fragmented and more isolated. If you look at the 2-meter temperatures, up and down, but generally around that high teens, if not low 20s mark. Of course, the ensembles are going to underdo it because they're looking at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. for their predictions, and they, of course, underdo it because this time of year the sunshine does add a good few degrees from what we'd normally expect the upper air temperatures to deliver. If we finally look at the latest ECMWF, again, up and down over the next sort of 5 to 7 days, then we see that big dip. Again, I'd say massive dip, but about 5-degree temperature dip, looking at slightly below average for a few days next week with increased precipitation, and then we return to average or above average for the period beyond that. Precipitation still up and down, but you can generally see it is fairly focused around that period next week with that low pressure moving in. And beyond that, we do have a lot more scatter from the ECMWF. So definitely just show you that potentially you can see something slightly more mobile, lot of spread, but at this stage, no real distinct signal. You can see, though, that big spike, that red spike there around the 27th of May. That one ensemble member goes ridiculously hot around the 20-degree isotherm. We'd be looking at maybe mid-30s with that sort of scenario. We'll have to keep a very close eye on that. I highly doubt it'll come off here. You can see actually getting up towards the high 20s by midday. So again, look at probably maybe low 30s, considering actually it is the end of May. Give it another month or two, then we would definitely be looking at mid to high 30s. But regardless, a very hot kind of spike there from that ensemble member. Very interesting indeed. But of course, we are getting to that time of year where those sort of air masses do become a possibility. I do think May is still too early, but as we head towards the second half of June into July, that's where we can really start to see the peak of the heat. But we'll have to keep an eye on that and make sure you do stay tuned. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.